Hello, welcome to Intransit on the Couch. I hope you will enjoy our discussion today. We are going to be talking about a piece of the armor of God, and that is the belt of truth. Now, it's important whenever you talk about the armor of God to realize that there's a very specific type of armor that is being discussed. It's not the shiny armor from the Middle Ages. It's the Roman armor, the armor that a Roman soldier would have worn into battle. So, we're not fighting against guns, we're fighting against swords and spears and bows and arrows. So the armor can be made out of something that is not quite as strong as an armor from today. So the Roman armor was made largely of leather. So when we talk about the belt of truth, what we are talking about is a piece of the Roman soldier's armor, which was their belt. And what it was a very wide strip of leather that they fastened around their middle, their gut area. Not necessarily their waist, because the whole point of that belt of truth was two things. Number one, it was to protect vital organs. So they would put it there where their stomach and their spleen and their liver are, because those are all things that can kill you. And so they would put that big wide strip of leather there in order to protect that area. They also used the belt of truth to attach things to. They didn't have belts of truth. They had just regular belts. But they would use those belts to attach things. So for instance, it was their scabbard for their sword, that they would attach their weapons to it. They would attach maybe rope or other tools that they might need to use to their belt. They would even have food in a pouch on their belt, because fighting with swords is a lot of hard work. So if you are in an extended battle, you would get tired and hungry halfway through. And so they would have food there so that they could replenish their energy in order to fight and kill some more. Lovely, right? So the belt on a piece of Roman armor was very important. It was very foundational. Without the belt, the whole structure would fall apart. The breastplate would slip. Their skirts, because they wore skirts back then, might fall off, which would be both embarrassing and hard to walk. And it was very important because it also held their weapons and their food. So you can see that as Paul is talking about the belt of truth, he is talking about something that is our foundation. It is what a lot of the other areas that we are going to be talking about later rest upon. So let's move from talking about belts to talking about truth. Because in Ephesians, when Paul talks about the belt of truth, he is talking about a very specific battle. And it is the battle that Christians fight against Satan. Satan is the great deceiver. His best and most effective weapon is lies. And there are a lot of different kinds of lies. There are the lies that we hear from science, like the origins of the world. If you start out your belief system from the basis of evolution, it makes it very difficult for you to believe in God. That's one way that Satan has captured this world, is by having them believe this foundational truth of evolution that completely is against God. And so then people who study it, all the kids that go through a school system basically, have a really hard time believing in God, because they've started out from a lie. Another thing that Satan used, another form of deception, is the lies of society. For instance, if you're a girl, you're probably very familiar with the concept that in order to be beautiful, you must be thin. And there's probably other things too involved in that beauty. There's a certain standard of what makes a person beautiful or a woman beautiful. And one of those standards is that you have to be thin. You can imagine that I have a serious issue with that, because it's a lie. And hundreds of girls are completely ruined because they believe this lie. They do things like starve themselves or throw up after they eat, and it's really gross and it's disturbing and it makes them ill. They actually make themselves ill because of this lie of society. And it's a lie. It's a satanic lie that our society has clung to. Another thing way that Satan lies to us is with our own inward insecurities. He gets inside of our heads and he tells us lies about ourselves. Anytime maybe you've thought this, I'm not good enough, or nobody likes me, or mom and dad are always picking on me, they're always mad at me. Those are all lies that Satan is telling you. He's getting inside of your head and he's telling you things that are not true in order to make you ineffective. Because if you feel like a failure, you're most likely to stop trying. If you feel like no one loves you, you're probably going to be angry and hurtful. Those are the ways that Satan gets to us, is with lies. So what Paul is telling us is that our foundation must be truth. We must not believe his lies. We must cling to and stand for and believe in truth. So, how do you tell? What do you do in order to make sure that what you are believing is based on truth and not a lie? Well, there's 3 things. Number 1 is rely on God and look to God for your answers. The Bible. You need to look consistently and constantly at the Bible for your answers and rely on God in that area. Another thing that you need to do is study. If you look or are being taught something in school and you're like, that doesn't sound like it matches up with the Bible, then study and see if there's another way. There are actual scientists who believed evolution, who do not believe in God, who have studied it and come up with the idea that there is an intelligent designer, that there is design and creation, and that it didn't just happen by accident. Another thing that you should do is to be constantly aware. This is especially important in the area of society lies as well as inward insecurities. Let's look at society. If you're watching a movie or playing a video game, watch out for the lies that you're being told in that movie or video game. Look for those things that they are telling you is true, either by implication, by something that they're not actually coming right out and saying, but it's just part of the story, or by coming right out and saying it. Everything that you see on TV and in video games or social media is not necessarily the truth. It is especially not necessarily biblical truth. So you need to be aware of that. And as you're watching, don't allow yourself to be sucked in and believe what everybody else is believing. The other thing is your own inward thoughts. This is something that I really have struggled with my whole life, is believing things about myself or about the world that I feel so much like nobody likes me. But that's not the truth. The truth is that I have friends, I have family, and all of them love me. But Satan wants to get me through that feeling, that lie. And so I have learned that what I need to do is to be constantly assessing my thoughts and my feelings and asking myself, is that the truth? Is that really the truth? And instead of allowing Satan to speak lies into my heart, I have to stop myself, think it through, and tell myself the truth. So, as you go forward into this week, what I want you to do is I want you to be thinking about truth. And I'm going to give you a challenge. Every time I get on here and talk to you guys, I'm going to give you a challenge, and I'm going to try to make it a fun challenge. So what we're going to do this time is your challenge is about truth. I want you to read about truth in the Bible. I'm going to be sending you some links. And I want you to think about what it means, and I want you to create something. You can make a video and have your parents text it to me if you would like, that talks about what truth is. You could paint or color or make some sort of artwork that talks about what truth is and take a picture of it and send it to me. You could write something about truth and send it to me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take everybody's contributions, I'm going to make it into a compilation video. So I need these by Friday. So if you would like to be included, you can still send it to me afterwards. That's totally fine. And you don't even have to do it at all. that's also totally fine. But if you would like to be included on the video, I will need it by Friday morning so that I can get that video finished so I can send it out to you and you can all see each other's work. It's a way to connect even though we can't see each other in person. So I hope you will enjoy this project. I will have more information in the email that I sent to your parents. So if you have questions, you can ask them to read that to you. Or actually, you can all read. You can read it yourself. So see you later and enjoy your day. Goodbye.